Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Carnoufics carolinaensis. A completely new species of prehistoric crocodile was recently discovered by a team of paleontologists out of North Carolina. The lead scientist on the team was Dr. Lindsay Zano, and she says the crocodile dates back 231 million years. The creature is called Carnoufics carolinaensis. But if you don't want it to be so scientific, you can just call it the Carolina Butcher. It's one of the earliest crocodilomorphs to ever exist. This ancient beast was one of the first, most ferocious, and most dangerous extinct crocodile relatives that ever lived. Here's where things get wild. The Carolina Butcher may not have been as large as some crocodiles living today. It only grew to a maximum of about 9 feet. But it did walk on its hind legs. This ancient croc-like lizard monster could run like a bear, which is honestly terrifying. During the time it was alive, it was an apex predator in the North Carolina ecosystem. It would have eaten everything from small armored reptiles to the earliest mammal relatives. It had absolutely no discretion when it came to eating, just like our modern crocodiles of today. But could something like this still be alive, hiding somewhere in the swamps and marshes of North Carolina? The answer is probably not. It went extinct millions of years ago, before dinosaurs ever existed. But in a way, the crocodiles still living in the United States are just great descendants of these sharp-toothed monsters. Number 9. Aspitic. The Aspitic is a mythical creature from medieval bestiaries. It's described in folklore and legend as a gigantic whale, a huge fish, or some kind of sea turtle so big that its back holds an entire island on top of it. I'm talking about an island with trees, rocky cliffs, valleys, and enough room to build a small village. The Aspitic supposedly rises to the surface from the great depths of the sea every now and then, and is so massive that when it dives back under the surface, it sucks down all the ships that are near it. But what if this mythical creature is a real creature from the prehistoric days? That's the question everyone wants an answer to. Tales of the Aspitic go back centuries, and they clearly got their inspiration from something grounded in reality. All kinds of seafarer accounts, from France to Rome, speak of witnessing a fish so big it must have come from the depths of hell itself. In England, they called the monster Fastitocolon and labeled it a devil. In ancient Rome, Pliny the Elder named it the Pristis and called it a giant fish. Stories of the island/creature hybrid can be found in the texts of ancient Greece, Egypt, and even Old Babylonia. Nobody knows exactly what prehistoric monster these ancient people were witnessing, but it can't all be a coincidence. Surely there was something big enough to be mistaken for an island swimming around in the ocean. We just don't know what it was. Number 8. Deep sea shark. The Greenland shark is one of the most spectacular animals on the planet, a creature which can live upwards of 400 years, maybe even longer. Scientists have been studying these animals for the past few decades and have uncovered all kinds of amazing facts. For example, Greenland sharks are often blind because of a specific parasite which attaches itself to their corneas. These sharks aren't like great whites in their feeding habits. They prefer to eat fish and squid and scavenge carcasses that they find in the water. The Greenland shark is officially the longest living vertebrate on Earth. In 2016, a shark was found off the coast of Greenland to be 272 years old. This is the largest fish in the Arctic Ocean, and they frequently dive to 7,200 feet beneath the surface, living at temperatures as low as 28.4 degrees Fahrenheit. The Greenland shark is likely the closest thing we have on the planet to an actual prehistoric megalodon. It can grow to be nearly 25 feet long and is one of the oldest sharks in existence. In 2022, we learned something even more incredible about this elusive deep-sea creature. One of them was spotted swimming in the Western Caribbean, thousands of miles from the Arctic Ocean. This was a major shock to scientists because nobody thought they could live outside the Arctic. It now looks like the Greenland shark can live wherever it wants, even in the balmy waters of the Caribbean. The shark was caught by accident during a tiger shark tagging expedition by students at the Florida International University. Number 7. The mysterious Megalodon. Speaking of gigantic sharks, let's take a look at the possibility of a Megalodon still swimming around in the world's oceans. We know the Megalodon was 3 times bigger than a great white shark. It was the largest shark to ever live, and it dominated the seas for roughly 15 million years. Scientists are also fairly certain that the Megalodon went extinct 3.6 million years ago. However, there is a lot that scientists don't know. For example, no one knows what the Megalodon actually looked like. Because sharks are made up almost entirely of cartilage, they leave behind no reliable bones except for their teeth. Everything we know about the Megalodon is based on fossilized teeth. Still, scientists can do a lot with teeth. According to Daniel Sigmund from Princeton University, the Megalodon's bite would have been impossible to survive. Unlike shark attacks these days, where most people are lucky enough to get away with their lives, a shark attack by a Megalodon would have been 100% fatal. It was so big, its teeth so robust, and the strength of its bite so strong that nobody would have escaped its powerful jaws. Even though our oceans are so big and we're still learning so much about sharks, there's a very small chance that the Megalodon is still alive somewhere, perhaps in the Mariana Trench. When the giant predator was alive, the ocean was about 4 or 5 degrees warmer than it is today. It was also much more bountiful, and for this reason, it's not out of the realm of possibility for another great shark like the Megalodon to rise up, assuming the ocean keeps on warming and fish numbers rise to pre-industrial levels. Number 6. The land of mammoths. Depending on who you ask, there are woolly mammoths still living in the Siberian taiga. To be completely honest, it is a possibility. The Siberian wilderness is one of the largest expanses of untouched snowy forest in the entire world. There are some places in Siberia that you can't even get to by road, and that are so remote that people haven't stepped foot there in centuries. Human beings lived alongside mammoths up until an estimated 3,380 years ago. The last woolly mammoth was likely hunted and killed by a group of humans on Wrangel Island in Russia. Unfortunately, there's not any significant proof that a small group of mammoths still roam the frozen tundra. There was a rumor in the 1940s that a military pilot flew over the dense forest in Yakutia and witnessed a small herd of elephant-like animals. In 1978, something similar happened in the same region on the banks of the Indigirka River. About a dozen mammoths were supposedly seen drinking. These days, scientists say it's all a bunch of nonsense. But local Russians believe wholeheartedly that in Yakutia, far away from the hustle and bustle of society, there is a small herd of mammoths trying desperately to survive. Number 5. The giant prehistoric panda. Did you know that the modern panda bear is actually the last living remnant of a gigantic prehistoric panda that lived in the forest and swamps of Eastern Europe? If not, you do now. The prehistoric panda lived 6 million years ago and actually migrated from Eastern Europe into Asia, eventually morphing into China's favorite national animal. We got proof of this recently when paleontologists dug up 2 fossilized upper teeth in Bulgaria. Similar teeth have also been found in Spain and Hungary. Analysis showed that they belong to a relative of the modern giant panda, one that was just as big, but perhaps even more ferocious. It was at least 6 feet long and 250 pounds, but it didn't eat bamboo. According to Professor Nikolai Spasov from the Bulgarian National Museum of Natural History, it ate swamp leaves. There wouldn't have been any bamboo in Europe back then. And besides, its teeth were more useful for slicing leaves than crushing bamboo. But the teeth have also given scientists a bit of insight into the evolution of the panda bear. It's believed the bear may have started out carnivorous, only to be pressured into vegetarianism by large predators. It was too slow to compete with tigers and saber-tooths, so it had no choice but to change its diet. The next time you see a panda bear, remember it's actually a prehistoric beast with a bloodline going back millions of years. Number 4. Indonesian Triceratops. In December of 2020, a video appeared online showing a living Triceratops being led down from the bed of a truck by men with ropes and face masks. People were quick to make some wild assumptions. Some said it was definitely a real Triceratops, the result of some kind of Jurassic Park scenario breeding program. However, as cool as that would be, the Triceratops wasn't real at all. It was a puppet that was being dramatically hauled out of a truck and taken to the Mohosemi Forest Park in Indonesia. Although the Triceratops definitely looked alive in the blurry footage, it was operated by two people inside an extremely elaborate costume. The sad truth is that there are no Triceratops on the planet anymore. The dinosaur went extinct during the Cretaceous period 66 million years ago when the asteroid smashed into the planet and killed basically all of the dinosaurs that couldn't fly. Number 3. The Giant Anaconda. The giant anaconda was described by the 19th century explorer Percy Fawcett upon his expedition to South America. Fawcett claimed that he saw with his own eyes a massive prehistoric snake from the days of the dinosaurs at least 40 feet in length. And while one hot and sweaty and almost certainly delirious explorer can't fully be trusted, many others have seen the same thing. The gigantic snake is so famous to the Amazonians who live in the jungle that they have a name for it. They call the monster Yakumama, which means mother of water. To be fair, it sounds as if Fawcett and other explorers like him witnessed a titanoboa, not an anaconda. The largest living snake today, the green anaconda, just doesn't stack up to claims of a 40-foot serpent. These snakes are huge, but can only reach about 23 feet long maximum. On the other hand, the titanoboa was nearly 50 feet long. Plus, in the early 2000s, pieces of its enormous vertebrae and chunks of its skull were found in South America, confirming it as the biggest snake that ever lived. It was the king of the early Amazon, the serpentine equivalent of the Tyrannosaurus rex. The titanoboa was so huge that it weighed as much as an adult black rhino, about 2,500 pounds. Could a small family of these snakes still be living in the jungle? It is unlikely, but definitely not impossible. Number 2. Land shark. Scientists recently captured some footage of a shark walking on land. It happened on a remote stretch of beach in Papua New Guinea in May of 2022. The shark used its fins to drag itself out of the water and onto the shore, then shimmied itself across a low tide pool like a sea lion on the beach. As incredible as this was, it wasn't the first time a shark brought itself out of the water and started walking. It happened hundreds of millions of years ago when the very first fish flopped out of the sea and grew legs. The biggest difference is that this is happening in real time, in the 21st century. It was a very small species of shark that accomplished such a feat. It's called an epaulette shark, and this was the first time in history that this species was documented walking, according to conservationist expert Forrest Galante. Researchers believe it gained this skill for the purpose of foraging for food on land, in a unique environment where no other shark could survive. Number 1. The Prehistoric Gar. A prehistoric monster was recently captured in the Choctawhatchee River in Florida. Researchers with the Fish and Wildlife Research Institute found a completely black long-nosed gar swimming up the river. It was covered in scales, its mouth was full of prickly teeth, and it was literally as black as tar. The biologists were shocked because the prehistoric gar clearly suffered from a case of melanism. This is the opposite of albinism, when a creature has abnormally dark colorization of their skin or scales or fur. It's super rare, and even more rare to be found on a creature from the days of the dinosaurs. It was almost like finding a melanistic T-Rex, but obviously not quite as exciting. In truth, the long-nosed gar in Florida is older than the Tyrannosaurus rex. It's been living in North America for over 100 million years. It's a huge fish that can grow over 8 feet long, one that outlived the dinosaurs and survived the Great Extinction, only to be pulled out of the river and photographed by curious scientists. Thanks for watching! If there was just one dinosaur still alive, which one would you want it to be? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!